Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Tuesday, the 28th of February. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast. And as always, everything ZASLOW Show 2.0 is presented by our title sponsor from day number one. We're talking Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. If you're dealing with a personal injury, if you were involved in an accident, let Anidjar and Levine take care of getting you whole. You take care of your health. Let them take care of all the extracurricular stuff. You call 911 first, you're in an accident. Then you get an attorney on the phone immediately when you call Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. ZASLOW Show 2.0 is not possible without Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. So I wouldn't be sending you to them if I didn't trust them. You got an injury, you had an accident, you get yourself right with Anidjar and Levine. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. Got a fun show planned for everybody today because like we capped off yesterday's show, hey, is it possible that we could start the show today? Can we start the show today with a Heat win the prior night and then looking forward to a monster Panther game tonight? Well, that's the scenario we're in. The Heat, with as good a win they've had all year, they win last night in Philadelphia by 2. Excellent job by your favorite little basketball team. They snap a 4-game skid. You think I needed 5 straight losses in my life? You think I need that shit in my life? Get the hell out of here. So the Heat, they get the dub, and now we're feeling good to start off our day this morning. That's what we're talking about. That's right. So we're going to talk plenty of Heat this morning. We got a lot of NBA stuff to get to this morning. Like I said, the Panthers, but last night, let me recap my evening a little bit last night. So this movie was, I watched the movie last night with my son after the Heat game because the Heat game was early, 7 o'clock. We get home from his training. I'm watching the Heat game in my car at my son's soccer training. Isn't that great about technology? Like, I could take my son to soccer training last night. I don't have to miss the Heat game. I got a phone. Sometimes I even bring my iPad into the car and I'm watching the Heat game or Panther game on my iPad in my car. It's awesome. Love it. So I'm watching the Heat game in my car. Then we get home, watch the end of the Heat game. We'll get to all that coming up. I got some highlights and all the good stuff for you. But we started a movie the night before that we then had to finish last night after the Heat game. We watched Bird Box. Remember, this was a big Netflix sensation, I think maybe 5 years ago. Sandra Bullock stars, and that's when this, mysterious creature is outside, and you look at it. You can't see it, but you do see it when you open your eyes outside, and then you kill yourself. That's the movie, all right? And everybody remembers, the blindfold, and you got to get around with the blindfold on, and there were lots of memes about it 5 years ago. Now, I'd seen Bird Box. I saw Bird Box right when it came out 5 years ago, and I liked it. I know it was a little bit controversial. Either you liked it or you hated it. There was no real in-between, And my son and I, though, these kinds of movies are right up our alley. We love these movies. Like when we got done with the movie last night, my son even said, he goes, this movie was like Quiet Place. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of the same kind of shtick, Bird Box, it's seeing. Quiet Place, it's speaking, and then you're fucked. So, yeah, kind of a similar kind of deal. So, anyway, my son and I, we dig these kind of movies. And I showed him a couple nights ago. We were looking for something to watch. And I said, ooh, Bird Box. I've seen this movie before, but I think you'll really like it. And, yeah, he loved it. And I got to tell you, watching it again for the second time last night, I liked it a lot. I liked it better than I liked it the first time. And I liked it the first time. I really enjoyed that movie again, watching it the second time around. So if you're into those kind of weird, apocalyptic type of movies, everybody loves Sandra Bullock, of course. Come on now, what are we talking about? But if you're into those kind of movies, yeah, John Malkovich is also in it. Machine Gun Kelly's in it. Everybody likes Machine Gun Kelly, right? He was, he was his girlfriend a long time. I think they broke up. He was with old toe thumbs, Megan Fox. But I really enjoy Bird Box. So if you're into those type of apocalyptic movies, I would recommend that. So that's what we watched last night. I was in a great mood because the Heat pulled out that game last night. That's what I'm talking about. And by the way, shout out to my son's middle school basketball team, Poznak varsity middle school basketball team. They won their quarterfinal basketball game yesterday. We got the semifinals today. We got to play a team in Aventura. Very far drive from where I'm at. But we got semifinals today, so my son's middle school basketball team, they're in the Final Four for the league, district, whatever it's called, championship. So that continues on today. You got semifinals today. So very busy afternoon here for the ZASLOW family, all right? There's a lot at stake here, a lot on the line. And then my younger son tonight has a basketball game at the JCC. So this is a very big sports day for the ZASLOW family. All right, that's neither here nor there. So you're listening to the show right now, and however you're listening, make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff. It's for the algorithm. You know the algorithm then helps me get all the monies, okay? So you make sure you do all that. You tell your friends, you tell your family about the program. All right. The Heat last night. I don't need 5 straight losses, all right? And last night, honestly, last night was your typical Heat game, all right? What do I mean by that? Well, the Heat, they love playing down to their competition, like you saw the other night when they lose to Charlotte. Hell, like you saw the week before that when they lost to Brooklyn. Because, like I told you, this version of Brooklyn, this Brooklyn team sucks. The Heat lost to them. The Heat lost to Charlotte. I mean, they're down by double figures for a lot of the game against Charlotte. It's pathetic. And then you'll play a team like Philadelphia last night, and you have the lead the entire game. The Heat had the lead the entire game. They're playing really well, and what do you know? Wow. And this is what the NBA has become today. and I hate this, but this is the league now. If you're hitting your threes, you're going to win. If you're not hitting your threes, you're not going to win. And the Heat have been a bad three-point shooting team all year. Last night, they were a really good three-point shooting team right from the get-go. They got off to a great start from 3 last night. Gabe Vincent hit a couple threes early on. Jimmy Butler hit a 3 early on. Kevin Love hit a couple threes early on. And what do you know? The Heat are out in front, and they were out in front the entire game. The Heat were 15 of 37 from 3 last night. And, you know, the thing that's going to be bent, look, it works both ways. The Heat are a terrible half-court offense team. So when we get to the playoffs and everything slows down, it's going to predictably be a problem for the Heat. But they've been a bad half-court offense team for years now, and they've had plenty of success in the playoffs. I mean, 2 of the last 3 years in the postseason, the Heat have gotten to at least the Eastern Conference Finals, one of those the NBA Finals. But it works the other way. The Heat are a great defensive team, and when things slow down and we're playing in the half court, the Heat are going to D you the hell up. They're going to D you up. So, Philadelphia, the latest team to face Miami, to not break 100 points. The Heat hold the Sixers to just 99 last night. The three-point shooting was on point. And honestly, my big takeaway from the game last night, you know, a couple nights ago, what does Jimmy say? Jimmy gets upset. I'm tired of losing. All right. And then Jimmy last night gives you 23 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 steals. Of course, we'll get to the game-winning circus shot that he hit. Jimmy was sensational last night. Here's the thing with Jimmy. Jimmy is an all-time great playoff performer. He's an all-time great Miami Heat playoff performer. These final 20 games, the Heat are now 33 and 29. 20 games remaining. These final 20 games, if this Heat team is not as good as past years, and if Jimmy's tired of the losing, you may need playoff Jimmy these final 20 games. You may not be able to wait until the postseason, and then you get playoff Jimmy. You may need playoff Jimmy right now to get to the place that you want to get to. You know, if you want to jump up to maybe 5 or at the least 6 so you get out of the play-in situation. If Jimmy's tired of losing, you may need playoff Jimmy right now. Because we know Jimmy's style at this point. He paces himself, man. And then we get to the playoffs, and you get an all-time great playoff performer. Playoff Jimmy may need to start right now, and the repercussions of that, you may just have to deal with once we get to the playoffs. What I mean by repercussions is possible fatigue, but whatever. We're not in a place to be able to afford waiting and biding time. Playoff Jimmy probably needs to show up right now. And that's what you got last night. He was sensational. And the Heat win last night in Philadelphia against a Sixer team that you know was angry coming off of a really tough loss to Boston, also at home. And last night they lose at home again to the Heat. I mean, Sixers have the 4th best record in the NBA. Maybe 5th now after last night's loss. But somewhere right up there, 3rd in the East. This is an angry Sixer team last night. And the Heat are in front the entire game. And then when Philly finally takes the lead, the Heat have all the answers late. They make all the big plays. So not only were you facing an angry Philadelphia team last night, but Bam was just 4 of 14. Hero was 3 of 13. By the way, Tyler, got to be better. It's not good enough. You know, at least with Bam, Bam's getting you the rebounds. Bam's getting you the defense. Tyler, 8 points, 3 for 13. Big road game in Philadelphia. That's not going to cut it. Need to be better than that, player. Come on. So you get that kind of performance from those two guys, and you still pull off that kind of win last night. I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but maybe that catapults you into this really difficult homestand, and you play some great basketball. Because you got Philadelphia, you got New York, you got Atlanta twice, you got Cleveland twice. That's as hard a homestand as there is. So that win last night was huge. Even though the Heat went 1-2 on this road trip, get the win on the final game and against Philly, huge, huge. So let the Heat bench last night also. Shout out. 35 points from the Heat bench. Strus, Oladipo, Martin Zeller, Gabe Vincent, 14 points. Glad Kyle Lowry wasn't back last night. He flew in. He was with the team last night. He was not active. Hey, stay out, man. Don't need you. Don't need you. You can't tell me he would have given you the 14 points and the 4 threes and the defense that Gabe Vincent gave you last night. He would not have. Stay out, Kyle. Don't need you to return. So last night, the Heat are up pretty much the entire game. At some points, they're up by 8. They're up by 10. And the Sixers, of course, look, they're going to make that run. So finally, with under 2 minutes to go, the Sixers finally take the lead. James Harden gets a couple free throws, and it's 99-98, Philadelphia. I think this is actually about 2.5 or 3 minutes ago. It's 99-98 Philadelphia. They get a couple free throws from Harden. They finally take the lead. Then you get Jimmy Butler. There's about 90 seconds left at this point. We're a couple possessions later. And Jimmy Butler, with about 90 seconds remaining, hits what would end up being the game winner.
Right now they have the lead with 1:33 to play. They are on their feet in Philly as Butler scoops it up and in! An impossible shot delivered by Jimmy Butler. He's got 22, puts the Heat back in front, 199.
Crazy circus shot from Jimmy. Playoff Jimmy, man. That's what we need at this point with 20 games remaining after last night's win. So Jimmy gets a crazy basket to go last night. It's now 100-99. The Heat take back the lead. But hell, we got 90 seconds remaining. We're still going to need a lot more. Still going to need maybe a couple more baskets, maybe some free throws. It's 100-99 at this point. So what happens then after that? Well, now you get some really awful late game basketball from Philadelphia. You get the good defense from Miami, but also some awful late basketball from the 76ers. So Joel Embiid, he's on the baseline at this point, looking to get the lead back for Philadelphia. And then you got the defensive player of the year, Bam Adebayo.
8 on the shot clock, Embiid way outside, starts his drive. Bam blocked it with 4 on the shot clock.
So Bam stuffs Embiid. Jimmy Butler gets the loose ball. The Heat have the ball back now with under 30 seconds to play. Then, now you get more late game Heat making plays. Jimmy Butler on the baseline. The Heat are up by 1. There's under 10 seconds to go. They're draining the clock down, trying to get a decent shot. Jimmy Butler actually takes a really difficult turnaround 18-footer, fouled by Harden. Fouled by Harden. By the way, I should rewind because right before that, James Harden traveled. So we got Jimmy Butler, huge basket, which gave Miami back the lead. Then you got Bam blocking Embiid. Then a possession later, Harden falls out of bounds, Heat basketball. And now Jimmy, very difficult fadeaway with 10 seconds left, Harden fouls him. Terrible sequence for the Sixers. Terrible sequence for Harden. Embiid blocked. Harden out of bounds. Harden foul. Very bad. Butler only makes one of the free throws. So it's 101-99 now, and you need one final stop.
Coming back in to catch the pass. And then Embiid with 7. Turns on Bam with 5. Bumps with 4. Sends it out to Harden with 2 for 3. Missed it. Rebound Bam. Game's over. Heat win. One of the most important victories of the season for Miami.
Heat get the win. Huge road win. I don't know why Embiid's passing up that shot. Look, you could shoot it over Bam. Bam was covering him, but I don't know. If you're the Sixers, don't you want Joel Embiid taking that shot? Like free throw line, rather than James Harden taking that 3? James Harden, not a great history, late in games. And certainly in that game in particular, he was awful. I mean, look at the final sequence here. Jimmy gets the lead back for Miami with a minute and a half left. After that, Harden falls out of bounds turnover. After that, Bam blocks Embiid. After that, Harden fouls Jimmy Butler on a very difficult fadeaway. And then Embiid passes up final shot, gives it to Harden. He misses final shot. So Harden, out of bounds, bad foul, misses at the buzzer. Heat win. Brutal finish for the Sixers. Brutal finish for James Harden. Heat, huge win. I don't need 5 straight losses in my life. Get the hell out of here. That's what I'm talking about. So now you're feeling good. You wake up this morning and you're saying to yourself, all right, got a nice little Tuesday. Can we now get the Panthers with a huge victory tonight? We'll get to them coming up. But now after last night's win, so the Heat, now if you keep it track, if you keep it score at home, this Knicks team, they don't lose anymore. The Knicks might be good. I don't know. Knicks might be good. I think it's 6 in a row now. New York beat Boston last night, 109-94. I don't think Jaylen Brown played in that game. But the Knicks have won 6 in a row now. They've jumped Brooklyn now, which we all expected. The Knicks are now 5th. Brooklyn is 6th. Miami is 7. Miami avoids falling into a tie in the loss column last night with that win last night because Atlanta's only 1 loss back. So Miami is 2 games, if you want to do it like that. They're 3 losses. So it's kind of fugazi when the standings say they're 2 games back of Brooklyn, but they're 3 losses back. You can't make up losses. So they're really 3 back of Brooklyn. But anyway, we'll just go by what the standings say. So the Heat are 2 back of Brooklyn. They're 2.5 back of New York. I expect Miami to jump Brooklyn. Not just because I'm thinking that the Heat are going to get going. They're going to do their part. Maybe that's foolish on my part. I don't know. That's up to you. But I think Brooklyn is going to take a nosedive. That team sucks. Like, they got a bunch of role players. That's not how you win. So I think Miami will jump to 6. Hell, there isn't a ton of time. Atlanta's 4 back in the loss column of Brooklyn with 21 to play. It's a lot of games. A lot of games back. But I could see Atlanta jumping Brooklyn also. I think Atlanta's going to get a boost the way they did a couple years ago when they fired Lloyd Pierce midseason. And then Atlanta had a huge run the second half of the year and then went to the conference finals after beating Philly in the semifinals, then went to the conference finals in, I guess it was in 21. Went to the conference finals that year and lost. Who would they have lost to? Who cares? Doesn't matter. Oh, Milwaukee. It has to be Milwaukee, right? So anyway, I expect the Heat to jump Brooklyn, but the question is, can they get up to 5? Can you get up to 5, where then you would potentially face Cleveland in the first round? Or, look, honestly, if you get to 6, you're likely looking at Philly in the first round. I'm not afraid of Philly. And it doesn't just have to do with last night. I'm not afraid of Philly. So I think the Heat will get up to 6. Not just because I'm thinking the Heat are going to do their part, but I think Brooklyn is going to nosedive. So really, really good game last night. The Heat led the whole way. And then when they were finally tested, they wind up making all the plays late. Jimmy with the basket, Bam with the block, final defensive sequence. And of course, you got to trust Harden to be terrible late in the game, which he was last night. So great job by the Heat. But like I said, for me, my biggest takeaway was Jimmy. And you love that he comes out. Look, if you're going to say something like after the last game, I'm tired of losing. Hey, put the team on your back. Put them on your back. Give me a stat line of 23 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 steals. Hit the game-winning circus shot. Hit another free throw to put the team up by 2. Would have been nice if you made both to make it 3. Whatever. And then you defend and you wind up getting the game-winning stop. So that's one thing. But the main part to me is, yeah, like Jimmy, if you're tired of losing, I know you don't like to turn it on, or you hit another level once we get to the postseason. You may need to do it now, especially because, like I said, you look at this homestand: Philly, New York, Atlanta twice, Cleveland twice. That is an incredibly difficult homestand. So you may need playoff Jimmy right now, is what I'm getting at. All right, we'll circle back to the NBA in a second here. I want to hit on the Panthers right quick because there's a bunch of other NBAs. You got big injuries. You got all kinds of stuff we still got to get to as far as the NBA goes. But the Panthers have another huge game tonight. Now, why is this a huge game tonight? They're not chasing Tampa. I mean, Tampa's top 3 in the Atlantic. The Panthers are nowhere close to that. So it's not a big game as far as, you're chasing Tampa. They're not chasing Tampa. The Panthers are one of 6 teams that are fighting. 6 teams? 6 teams. Panthers are one of 6 teams fighting for 2 wild card spots. But here's the thing. The Panthers tonight are at Tampa, and then Thursday they're home against Nashville, and then Friday is the trade deadline. So if the Panthers lose these next 2 games, and by the way, I don't feel good about it. If the Panthers lose these next 2 games, they may be forced to be sellers. Because, like I said, there's 6 teams fighting for 2 spots. Now, the Panthers are 3 points back of that second spot, but you got 2 other teams ahead of you. And by the way, that team that you're trying to catch in that second spot has 2 games in hand on you. The Panthers cannot lose these 2 games. Matter of fact, it's quite possible that the Panthers need to win these 2 games, get all 4 points to avoid being sellers at the trade deadline on Friday. Because, hey, Bill Zito may try and recoup something. He may try and recoup some of the draft picks he's traded the last couple of years. First-round pick Ben Sherratt. First-round pick Claude Giroux. Rentals. Didn't work out. They went for it, didn't work out. It's okay. But if the Panthers don't win these next 2 games and really show the GM, we're in this thing, he may have to do a little bit of selling and try and recoup. Because we're going to get to a place where if they lose these next 2 games and they're sitting like 5-6 points out of that final wildcard spot, you could easily look at it and say, we haven't been there all year. Why am I to believe that with just 20 games remaining, or at that point it'll be 18 games remaining for the Panthers, that we're going to make this final push? By the way, Barkov out again tonight. I guess we're at that point of the season where Barkov has to miss a bunch of games. Happens all the time. Sam Bennett's out again tonight also. He'll miss, I think it's his 3rd straight game. It's really annoying that Barkov is missing more games. But like I said, that happens several times a year. He's got to miss a handful of games in a row. But these next 2 games, starting with tonight against Tampa, at Tampa, this is it. This could determine what's going to happen for the remainder of the season. So the Panthers are 3 back of Pittsburgh. They're 5 back of the Islanders, but they're actually closer to the Islanders because the Penguins have 2 games in hand on the Panthers, and the Panthers have 2 games in hand on the Islanders. But ahead of the Panthers, in between them and those 2 wildcard spots, are Buffalo, who is 2 up on the Panthers and has 3 games in hand. That loss to Buffalo last Friday night was huge. And then you also have Detroit, who is even with the Panthers, but has 2 games in hand. So look at that. The Panthers are 3 back of Pittsburgh, 2 back of Buffalo, even with Detroit, but the Penguins have 2 in hand on the Panthers, the Sabres have 3 in hand, and the Red Wings have 2 in hand. It's not good. It's not good. Tough to be optimistic. And by the way, I don't feel good about tonight. Number 1, no Barkov. You got Duclair. Maybe we'll see him get going tonight. It's only a 2nd game back. Can't expect that much. But Tampa lost to Pittsburgh the other day, 7-3. Got killed. You're going to get an angry Lightning team. And it was, and was it 7-3? I think it was in Pittsburgh. Nonetheless. It was in Pittsburgh. You're going to get an angry Lightning team. They're going to take it out on their rivals. I do not feel good. I mean, I would expect Bobrovsky's in net because Spencer Knight's with the AHL team because he stinks. So I'd expect Bobrovsky's in net tonight. Look, Kachuk scored a couple goals on Vasilevsky in the All-Star game. All right. But I do not feel good about the Panthers tonight. And these next two games, this could determine the Panthers. This could determine the rest of the season for the Panthers. And look, if they don't show up to play, if they get smoked, I'm going to be sick. I am. I'm going to be so angry. I'm going to be sick. Now, if you're for real sick, you got to call Doctors on Call 365. Doctors on Call 365, South Florida's urgent care that comes to you. Children, adults, the elderly, minor illnesses and injury. If you got something going on, you don't have to go to the emergency room. You're going to sit there for hours, and then what you're paying out of pocket with your copay is going to wind up being more than you pay out of pocket for Doctors on Call 365 to come to your home. They'll come to your office, wherever you are. You give Doctors on Call 365 a call at 786-577-9302. You'll get someone on the phone immediately. There's no answering service, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and then you're going to get the doctor at your home, wherever you are, that day. That's right. I had 103-degree fever. I called Dr. Alon, Doctors on Call 365. He was at my home later that day. My son, we felt he had strep throat. We called him in the evening. Dr. Alon was at my house an hour later, 9 p.m. No problem. Get taken care of right away. I love Doctors on Call 365. DoctorsOnCall365.com. You'll get someone on the phone immediately. 786-577-9302. Serving all of Broward County, based in Broward County, but serving all Broward, all Miami-Dade, Southern Palm Beach as well. 786-577-9302.